Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're opening up a file that acts as, well, it's a bit of a mirror. If you're the type of person who's currently holding up the sky, managing the team, the family, all the logistics, the crisis, all before 9 a.m., this one is specifically for you.
Right.
We're analyzing a set of insights from Naomi Sadiq and the Abundance Blueprint, a session they called Honoring the Invisible Infrastructure of Support.
And this is a really fascinating piece because it's not just, self-help. It's actually more like systems engineering for the human spirit.
Systems engineering, I like that.
It really is. It comes right after a conversation about hitting a wall, about burnout, but it pivots to a perspective that is, well, it's surprisingly mechanical.
Yeah, it's very mechanical. And to kick things off, I want to start with a distinction I found in the material that, honestly, it just stopped me in my tracks.
Okay.
It challenges the very words we use for our own exhaustion. It's the difference between depression and depletion.
A critical distinction, absolutely. The source makes this really strong case that what a lot of high-achieving people label as depression.
That heavy feeling.
Yeah, that heavy, can't-move feeling, the lack of motivation.
Yeah.
Often, it isn't clinical sadness, not in the way we usually think of it. It's depletion.
Okay, so walk me through that. Because the symptoms, they feel identical, don't they?
They do. They feel identical.
The lethargy, the numbness, the just wanting to stare at a wall.
That's the trap. The root cause is different. Think of it like a bank account versus, say, a broken machine.
Okay.
Depression might mean the machinery of your emotions is jamming up or, misfiring.
Right, a chemical thing.
But depletion means the machinery is actually fine. The account is just overdrawn.
Yeah.
The system isn't malfunctioning. It's just empty.
That is a massive shift in perspective.
It is.
Because if I diagnose myself as depressed, I'm looking for a cure for sadness. I'm looking for a way to fix the machine. But if I diagnose myself as depleted,
then you stop looking for a cure and you start looking for a fill-up. You stop asking what's wrong with me and you start asking, where did all my resources go?
And that, I think, leads us to the central question of this whole deep dive.
It does.
If you're sitting there feeling totally empty, completely depleted, maybe even numb, you have to ask this really scary question.
If I was empty, what kept me from collapsing?
That's the one. If I checked out, why is the building still standing?
Exactly. And answering that question is the way in. It's the gateway to understanding what the source calls the invisible infrastructure.
So that's our mission today. We're going to unpack this whole concept, the hidden systems, the people that keep us going when we mentally check out.
And we are going to talk about gratitude.
I know. That word usually makes people roll their eyes.
It really does.
But wait, we're going to reframe it. We're moving away from gratitude as this, fluffy live, laugh, love feeling.
Yeah.
We're looking at it as necessary maintenance for your own survival.
Right. We're shifting from a magic mindset to a mechanics mindset. We're not here to tell you to just manifest happiness.
No. We're here to look at the load-bearing walls of your life.
But before we get to the mechanics, we have to talk about the person who needs this the most.
Yes. We have to introduce Denise.
The archetype. The shock absorber.
Now, Denise is introduced as a character in the source material, but let's be real. Denise is a stand-in.
Oh, absolutely.
She's probably you listening right now.
Yeah.
Or she's the person you rely on. Denise is the designated adult in every single room she walks into.
She's the business owner who makes payroll before she even thinks about paying herself. She's the big sister.
She's the one you call when your transmission blows or you're short on rent.
The pillar.
And the thing about Denise, and this is what makes her the shock absorber, is that she doesn't really have the option to fall apart.
Right. It's not just that she's strong. Her strength is the foundation for everyone else's comfort.
Which brings us to what the text calls the tragedy of high-functioning people.
Yeah.
And that is a haunting phrase.
It really is. The tragedy is this. Even when she was empty, she was still useful.
Oof, that hits hard. Useful even when empty. It's almost dehumanizing.
It is. It implies your value is just your output.
And it creates this dangerous feedback loop. Because she's high-functioning, people stop asking if she's okay. They just assume she is because the emails are still going out.
It's like that Wile E. Coyote moment, He runs off the cliff but doesn't fall because he hasn't looked down yet. Denise just keeps moving. She keeps solving problems.
She's running on pure gravity.
Yes. The momentum of her responsibilities is just pushing her forward, even though the fuel tank's been dry for miles.
Precisely. And in the previous session, they mentioned the Wellness Wednesday. The advice was always the same well-meaning stuff. Just pause, take a breath.
But for Denise, that advice feels It feels almost insulting.
Because she feels like the load-bearing wall.
Exactly. If a decorative pillow takes a break, who cares? But if the load-bearing wall takes a break, the whole roof collapses.
So Denise didn't pause. She kept going until she literally hit a wall. She didn't choose to stop. She was forced to.
And this brings us to that pivotal moment in the source material, the moment of realization.
Right. Because usually when we talk about burnout, we focus on the crash, the mess.
But the source asks us to look at what happens right after the crash. So picture it. Denise finally sits down. She's hit the wall. She's depleted. She is checked out.
And in her head, she's expecting to see disaster.
Total disaster. Because she hasn't been driving the bus for the last week, she thinks everything must have crumbled.
The house should be on fire.
Exactly. But then she looks around. The lights are still on.
Okay.
The rent is covered. Her body, yeah, it's tired, but it's whole. Her heart's still beating. The people who love her,
Yeah.
they're still there.
That's the invisible infrastructure.
That is the realization. Survival isn't a solo act. Denise thought she was Atlas, holding the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
But when she finally let go, she didn't fall into an abyss. She fell into a safety net.
You know, it's interesting because high performers, we often have a bit of an ego about this, don't we? If I don't do it, it just won't get done.
Oh, 100%.
And finding out the world keeps spinning without you.
Yeah.
It's humbling, but it's also so liberating.
It's incredibly liberating. She discovered she had a support system she never even acknowledged because she was too busy being the support system for everyone else.
Protecting the roof while
Yeah.
completely ignoring the foundation.
You got it.
Which brings us back to redefining gratitude. Because usually when you hear gratitude, especially in the corporate or wellness space, it can feel a little...
Toxic positivity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just be happy you have a job while everything's on fire.
The source is really explicit about this. This is not about pretending things are perfect.
Oh.
It's not about ignoring that you're exhausted. It's not emotional gaslighting.
So how do we define it then? If it's not feeling lucky, what is it?
We treat gratitude as engineering.
Yeah.
It is respecting the mechanics.
I love that.
Mm.
Respecting the mechanics. Break that down for me.
Well, think about your car. You change the oil, right?
Right.
You don't do it because you have this deep emotional bond with the pistons. You're not, joyful about oil viscosity. You do it because if you don't, the engine seizes.
I see.
Gratitude in this context is just acknowledging the foundation that didn't crack while you were so busy worrying about the roof.
It's maintenance.
It is maintenance. And the text offers a law here that I think is so crucial.
Okay.
What you fail to appreciate, you unconsciously deplete.
Oof. Say that again. That sounds like a law of physics.
What you fail to appreciate, you unconsciously deplete.
So if I'm not acknowledging the systems keeping me going, my health, my partner, my team, I'm breaking them.
You're eroding them.
Yeah.
Think about a team member. If you never acknowledge their work because you're too busy, eventually they burn out. Or they leave, you depleted them.
Right.
If you never acknowledge your body's need for sleep, you deplete your health. It's not a punishment, it's just cause and effect.
That really takes the emotion out of it, which I find so helpful. Gratitude isn't some feeling you have to wait for.
Exactly.
You don't wait until you feel warm and fuzzy to change your oil. You just do it.
You don't have to feel joyful to perform maintenance. You just have to do it to keep the system running. It removes the pressure to be happy and replaces it with the responsibility to just be aware.
That's a huge shift. Now, I want to pivot to the teaching section because it introduces a concept from finance that I've never seen applied to psychology, the rule of 72.
Yes. This is where it bridges the gap between finance and biology. It's fascinating.
Okay. For anyone listening who isn't a finance nerd, the rule of 72 is just a mental shortcut. You divide 72 by your interest rate, and that tells you how many years it takes for your investment to double. It's all about compounding.
Right. And in finance, we know this. Small deposits, left alone, compound into massive wealth. The source applies this same idea to peace, to your nervous system.
How does acknowledging the lights are on compound? That feels like a bit of a stretch.
It's all about the state of your nervous system. When you're in depletion mode, your brain is in a sympathetic state. Fight or flight.
You're scanning for threats.
Constantly. You're looking for the lion in the grass or, the next email that's going to blow up your day.
Right.
And biologically, that's expensive. It burns a ton of energy. But when you stop and you just acknowledge what is working, my heart is beating, my friend texted, the roof is still here, you send a safety signal to your brain.
You're telling the amygdala to stand down.
Yes. You shift from survival mode to reception mode. And this is where the compounding kicks in. When you shift out of survival mode, you aren't just surviving this one moment.
You're preserving energy for the future.
You're stopping the leak. So peace compounds because you're not burning all your fuel on imaginary threats.
Right. And if I'm in that regulated state, I make better decisions. Better decisions lead to fewer crises tomorrow.
Which means more peace. It spirals upwards. But just like a call count, it only compounds if you make the deposit.
And the deposit is the gratitude.
The deposit is the act of noticing. If you don't deposit the gratitude, if you don't notice the safety, you're basically keeping your money under the mattress. It doesn't grow. You just survive moment to moment.
That makes the biology of it really click for me. It's not just nice thoughts. It's metabolic efficiency.
It's energy management, plain and simple.
So let's get practical.
Yeah.
We have this idea of the shock absorber, the invisible infrastructure, and we know that gratitude is the maintenance. The source gives us an actionable toolkit.
It does, because usually we listen to these things, nod our heads, and then change absolutely nothing.
So true.
So it gives us 3 specific steps, and it starts with a guided reflection. The prompt is very specific. It asks you to just stop moving, and answer one question honestly.
And the key is what is true, not what you want to be true.
Exactly. The question is, what held me together this week, even when I felt like I was falling apart?
That's a powerful question, because my brain, it naturally wants to focus on what went wrong. The client who yelled, the deadline I missed.
That's the survival instinct, scanning for threats. But this question forces you to look for the infrastructure, to look at the negative space. Was it a specific friend who just listened? Was it your faith? Was it the sheer biological grace of your body just waking up again?
It forces you to find the ghost support.
Ghost support. I like that. It's the things that kept life running while you were checked out. Maybe it was that your car didn't break down.
Or the automated bill pay you set up 3 years ago.
Yes. So the call to action is to identify that support. Name one thing. And then step 2, say thank you.
Send the text. Say the prayer. Just acknowledge it.
It's the oil change. It doesn't have to be some grand gesture. Just verify the system is there and say, I see you.
But then there's a third part to this toolkit, and this one caught me off guard because it seems so contradictory. It's about saying no.
Yes. The counterintuitive gratitude practice. The source says, say no to one thing tomorrow.
And usually we think of gratitude as saying yes, right? Opening our arms to the universe. Saying no feels stingy.
But remember, we're talking about depletion, an overdrawn account. If your system is overdrawn, making another withdrawal isn't gratitude, it's negligence.
So saying no is a way of protecting the asset.
Exactly. Saying no isn't about being mean to someone else. It's an act of gratitude to your future self. It's recognizing that you are a finite resource.
That is a hard pill to swallow for Denise, though. Her identity is built on saying, yes, I can fix it. Yes, I'll take that on.
And that's why Denise is depleted. If you truly appreciate yourself, if you're grateful for the machine that is you, you won't run it into the ground.
You wouldn't drive a Ferrari off-road through a swamp.
Why do you treat your own nervous system that way?
That's deep. Saying no is an act of thanking yourself. It's boundary maintenance.
It completes the loop. You see the support, you honor the support, and then you protect the vessel that's being supported.
This really flips the script on that whole strong friend narrative. You know, the meme that says, check on your strong friends.
It does, because often the strong friend thinks their value comes from their endurance. How much can I carry? They wear their exhaustion like a badge of honor.
But the source says sustainability is not built on endurance.
No. Endurance is just how long you can suffer before you break. Sustainability is built on how well you honor what sustains you.
If you build your life on endurance, physics will always win.
You will collapse. But if you build it on honoring your infrastructure, you can last.
It reminds me of the closing blessing from the source. May you stop overlooking the invisible hands that catch you.
It's a beautiful image. We spend so much time looking at our own hands, what we're building, what we're carrying. We rarely look down to see the hands that are catching us.
And the final provocation from the text is one I think I'm going to carry with me for a long time. It says, you don't have to carry the world. You just have to help hold it.
And the other side of that coin, you don't have to feel strong to be supported. You just have to be willing to see who is holding you up.
And that's the hard part for Denise, isn't it? Being willing to be held.
It is. Because being held requires vulnerability. It requires admitting you aren't defying gravity on your own. But the alternative is hitting the wall again and again.
So let's wrap this up. We've talked about depletion, mechanics, invisible infrastructure. If the listener does one thing differently tomorrow morning, what should it be?
I think the big takeaway is to just change your scanning process. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, before you check your phone, before the adrenaline hits, just for 5 seconds. Instead of scanning for threats, the emails, the deadlines, scan for the foundation.
And for what's right.
Scan for what didn't break while you were sleeping, your breath, the floorboards under your feet, the coffee machine waiting for you.
And realize that if you're still here, listening to this, something held you up, even if you felt like you were falling.
Something held you up.
And maybe, just maybe, it's time to say thank you. Not because it's magic,
But because it's maintenance, and good maintenance prevents the crash.
That's it for this deep dive. We hope you find your invisible infrastructure this week.
And honor it.
See you next time.